for the fantasy baseball season. And here's a few hitters I would look to buy low and try to trade for this week. The first guy is Christian Yelich of the Milwaukee Brewers. So the last year and a half here, Christian Yelich, he's been struggling so far for this Brewer team with the batting average, and the power obviously is there. This guy hit 40 home runs plus a few seasons ago, but so far this season, Yelich, he hasn't played much on the year. 10 for 30 from the plate, no home runs, 1 RBI, 2 stolen bases, a 333 batting average, 459 on base, and 8 runs scored. So he was off to a good batting average start, but obviously not the power start to start the season. But now he's been out the last few weeks with a back injury. Here is Christian Yelich, and he's been resuming hitting in the cage the last couple days here, but he still probably has to do some rehab assignments or just play at the alternate site and practice. But right now, Christian Yelich, we'll see when he comes back. There's still no timetable for his return, and right now he's a player you definitely could buy on the low while he's on the DL with no timetable like I mentioned him. Yelich, we know what he could do. He was an MVP candidate a few seasons ago, and he won it a year as well, is Yelich. So Yelich, I think he's still legit. And even if he comes back in a month or two, it's a big acquisition for your fantasy team. So right now, while he's hurt and his value's at an all-time low, this is the time to trade from him. The next player is DJ LeMahieu of the New York Yankees. So LeMahieu got a 6-year, $90 million deal from the Yankees in the offseason. And so far this season, it's been a tough year for him in terms of his batting average compared to what he's been doing the last 2 years. On the season so far, 24 for 89, 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 270 batting average, a 350 on base, and 12 runs scored. So LeMahieu, over the last couple days, he's definitely picked it up right now in this Yankee lineup. But last season, he hit an all-time high 364, which was amazing, in 195 at-bats in the shortened season. And LeMahieu on the season, he's ranked 355 right now in fantasy baseball. But the great thing about him, he's going to get out of this slump. He's putting the ball in play, only 16 strikeouts in 89 at-bats, and he qualifies at first, second, and third in fantasy baseball. In the last few games for LeMahieu, April 24th at Cleveland, 0 for 4. April 26th at Baltimore, 0 for 3. And then the last 2 nights at Baltimore, April 27th, 2 for 4 with 2 runs. And last night, 2 for 5 with a run. So this Yankee team, they're starting to play better now, winning the last 3 out of 4 ball games. And DJ LeMahieu, he's going to be a big part of this team and a big part of this lineup for years to come. And right now, I think he's breaking out of his slump. But his value is still definitely low compared to what it was coming into the season, getting drafted the 5th or 6th round of most fantasy leagues. So right now, I would go out there and try to get him. And with his versatility, he's definitely a valuable guy to have on your team. And you don't have to pay a high price right now. The next player is Francisco Lindor of the New York Mets. So Lindor, he signed a big contract in the offseason here with the Mets. And so far, it's been a total train wreck for Lindor and the Mets. This team can't hit. He's not hitting at a good rate. And he was a player drafted in the 2nd round of most fantasy leagues. And he's been on the buy low list the last couple weeks now. He's Lindor. And last week, after he had a 3-hit game versus the Cubs, I thought he was going to break out of the slump. But right now, he's in even worse. On the season, 14 to 69, 1 home run, 3 RBIs, 8 runs scored, a 203 batting average, a 317 on base, only 10 strikeouts, which is encouraging to me that he's putting the ball in play, but he just can't get the hits right now, is Lindor. And he's been hearing the boo birds as well at Citi Field here from the Met fans. So Lindor, they got a deal with him for 10 years, $341 million they paid him. But this guy, he's too good of a player to stay down this long. And this Met team, they're just not hitting as a unit. So right now, Francisco Lindor, the last few games, April 24th versus Washington, 1 for 4. April 25th versus the Nats, 1 for 4. And the last 2 games, April 27th versus Boston, 1 for 4. And then yesterday, 0 for 3. So Lindor, they've been trying to move him first to second in the lineup. And he batted third as well a couple times this season. But right now, he's just not connecting. But I think he's just pressing a little bit. And now he's got a series coming up in Philly where that ball travels. It's a small bandbox. And I think this could be the time Lindor breaks out. So you better try to trade for him while his value's at an all-time low. before he breaks out because he's too good not to hit right now. And he's only 27 years old. I know he got the big contract, but in my opinion, right now Lindor, he's just trying too hard and pressing. But I think he's going to bounce back, and once he does, this guy's going to put up top numbers here for fantasy owners in the Mets. So right now, while the ranking's 609, you go out there and trade for him. The next play is Cody Bellinger of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Bellinger, he was the MVP a few seasons ago here for this Dodger team. But now the injuries have caught up to Bellinger. But he's going to be back hopefully in the next couple weeks here. He went back to the alternate site after he had the calf injury, is Bellinger. So he's practicing. So far in the season, it was a short sample size, 4 for 19, 2 RBIs, 2 runs, a 211 batting average, and a 286 on base percentage. But we know what Bellinger's capable of. This guy's 40 home run capability and also a good batting average, even though last season it was a struggle for him with 12 home runs and only a 239 batting average in the shortened season. But Bellinger, he's one of the better players in all of Major League Baseball, and he's a big part of this Dodger team, no doubt about it. So right now they're taking it easy with him. And if I'm a fantasy owner and I could try to get Bellinger on the cheap, why not try to do it? A lot of injuries around the league, and some owners, they might just not be patient, especially if they got off to a slow start here in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. So right now, while Bellinger's banged up and there's still no timetable for his definite return, he's a definitely buy low candidate. And I don't think you got to break the bank for him. And the fifth and final hitter I will look to buy low and trade for this week's Paul Goldschmidt of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Goldschmidt, it's been a struggle so far this season, but he's starting to break out just a bit as well. So far in the year, 22 and 94, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, a stolen base, 14 runs scored, a 234 batting average, and a 280 on base percentage here for Goldschmidt. So right now, Goldschmidt, it's a little low, the batting average in the on base, but last season he started off slow as well and finished with a 304 batting average. But right now the homers, they're not that great either at 3, and the RBIs, they're decent with 14 in the first 4 weeks of the season. But Goldschmidt, I just know when the months get hotter and the summer months come up, he's going to hit the ball better. The ball's going to carry more. And we've seen Goldschmidt go through spurts like this with the Cardinals and then get hot as the summer months appear. So the last few games here for Goldschmidt, April 25th versus Cincinnati, 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a stolen base. April 26th versus Philly, 0 for 4. April 27th versus Philly, 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs. And April 28th versus Philly yesterday, 1 for 3 with a homer. So Goldschmidt, he's still getting RBIs. He's still getting about a hit a game. But he's going to take things to the next level soon because he's too good of a hitter to be hitting in the 230s. And right now, well, his value's low and his ranking's at 357. This is a perfect time to go out there and try to make a trade for him. And I don't think you got to break the bank. So that's a few hitters I would look to buy low and trade for here. That's a few hitters I would look to go out there and try to trade for him, buy low here in week 4 of the fantasy baseball season.